And we're back with some more Hartford Whalers franchise mode, and in this one we have the Year 3 playoffs. We are going up against the Detroit Red Wings in round number 1. They are 29-41-10. We are 37-34-9, third in the conference. So I believe this is the first playoffs where we actually have an advantage, home ice advantage in the first round. As during our previous playoff run, I believe we were somewhere around 6th, 7th in the conference. So here we go. Game 1 against Detroit. That will be a 5-4 Detroit victory. Shots are 48-38 in favor of Detroit. 3 stars of the game: McCourt, Pettersson, and Agrodnik. First period, you have Pettersson scoring for us on the power play from Rogers, make it 1-0. Then you have Vervegart for Detroit, tying it up at 1. Then you have Al Hangsleben from Pettersson and Stoughton. But then they have 3 in a row with Curry, Long, and Curry once again to make it 4-2. Heading in the second period, where Matty Hagman scores from Mullen and Bull, makes it 4-3. But then the third, you have Antonovich, the former Hartford Whaler, on his old team, makes it 5-3. Stoughton tries his best in the final 2 minutes, gets it to 5-4 from Pettersson and Howe, but it is ultimately not enough, and we take the loss in game number 1. Here we go, game number 2 at home. I believe this is still a 5-game series, a best of 5 series. So a win here is crucial. Simulate game, and that'll be a 3-2 win. Very nice. Shots are 33-25 in favor of Detroit, so they're out shooting us in every game so far. 3 stars of the game: Kissio, Peterson, and Alley. First period summary, you have no scoring, just a few penalties there. Second period, you have Hagman from Kissio and Howe, makes it 1-0. And that was actually shorthanded as well. Then you have Long scoring for Detroit, makes it 1-1. Anton Stasny scores from Kissio and Carroll, makes it 2-1. And the third period, you have Mike Foligno scoring, making it tied. And then Paul Coffey with the game-winning goal from Marty Howe and Steve Alley makes it a 3-2 win. All right, here we go. Game number 3. This is a huge game. We have a 6-1 Hartford victory. That is what you'd like to see. Shots are 28-26 in favor of your Hartford Whalers. 3 stars of the game: Stoughton, Rogers, and Coffey. First period, you have Alley from Carroll and Howe, makes it 1-0. Then you have Paul Coffey on the power play from Stoughton and Rogers, makes it 2-0. And then Stoughton on the power play a minute later from Coffey and Rogers, makes it 3-0. Reed Larson with the first goal of the game for Detroit, makes it 3-1. Second period, you have Mike Rogers with 2 goals. First one from Rick Lay and Blaine Stoughton, and then the second from Stoughton and Hagman to make it 5-1, heading into the third, where Peter Stasny scores from Mark Howe and Paul Coffey to make it a 6-1 victory. Here we go, game number 4. This could be the series decider, so we are going to go into it. And here we go. First period underway. We have a goal by Paul Woods of Detroit, getting it started early in the first. And there's another one for Detroit. Yari Curry with his first goal of the game and his third of the playoffs. Makes it 2-0. And there's our first goal of the game. Peter Stasny with his second of the playoffs from Stevenson and Lay. Cuts the deficit in half. And that is it for 1. Second period underway. And there's a goal for Detroit. Mahovlich from Foligno and Woods makes it 3-1. And 4-1. Dale McCourt for Detroit. Not looking good. Not looking. Yep. There's another. Peter Mahovlich for Detroit makes it 5-1. Not looking good heading into the third. There's one for Stoughton from Stasny and Coffey. Come on, Hartford. We need some sort of comeback here. Oh, Steve Alley from Carroll and DeBull. Wait a minute. Are we going to have a comeback here? Nah, Mahovlich with his hat trick from Lyle and Larson. And this game is just about over. Yep, 7-3 for good measure. Agrodnik with the goal for Detroit. And that will just about to... Oh, no, not quite. 8-3. Dennis Vervegart, or whatever his name is. Yikes. That was... that stung at the end of the game there. And we are headed to game number 5 with the series deciding game. The good news is, though, Jody Douglas is back. Unfortunately, he is only a 1.5-star ability, so I don't know, after being on the bench the entire year, how much effect he's going to have in the playoffs, but good to have another option at the very least. He's on the third line now. All right, here we go. Game number 5. We are going into it, of course. We're on home ice. Come on, Hartford. And the first period almost goes by without a score, but Yari Curry with 3 seconds left gets Detroit up 1-0 heading into the locker room. That is unfortunate. And we have a slashing penalty at the very end of the period. So we are starting the second on the penalty kill. Not what you'd like to see. Oh man, we're slashing a lot now. We're getting frustrated. Blaine Staunton with the slash. Come on, boys. All right, there you go. Peter Stastny from Mark Howe and Hangsleben to make it 1-1. And head into the third period, 1-1. Oh, this is a close one. Come on, boys. Get it done. Davidson's in net, I just realized. Oh, man. Barry Long with the goal for Detroit with 10 minutes remaining. Can we get... Oh, no. Mahovlich. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. No. Agrodnik. And that is all she wrote. We lose to the Detroit Red Wings, who were behind us in the standings, 29, 41, and 10. We had a good... We should have been able to shut them down. They are a one-line team. At least as far as on paper, they are a one-line team. And their record during the regular season was terrible. And we still lost. Even with how much we improved in the second half of this season, we were apparently still no match for the Detroit Red Wings, who somehow found a way. I guess Curry really turned it on there. But yeah, there's no excuse. We should have won that. We really should have won that. Let's see the playoff stats. Staunton was going. He did his job. 7 points in 5 games. 5 points for Coffey and Rogers as well. 4 for Howe, 3 for Stastny, Alley, Hagman, Patterson with 3 in 1 game, 3 for Carroll, 2 for Hangsleben, Stastny, Lay, DeBoll, Howe, Kissio. So some okay depth scoring, but I would imagine that Detroit did much better in that regard. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, they have McCourt, who had 8 points, 6 from Mahovlich, and then 5 for Curry, Long, Woods. I think it just comes down to they had the better goaltending. The 893 in 5 games with Vachon. And then for us, we had the 888 with Davidson. Why did the computer put Davidson in there when Garrett played a huge portion of the second half of the season? Like, he played the majority of the games after January. Like, after we fired our assistant goalie coach and assistant defensive coach. I think there was like a handful of games that he didn't play. And then all of a sudden, he just gets benched for the playoffs. I don't know. It's not a good coaching decision by either Mr. Phil White or Damian Myers, whoever was responsible for that. But whoever was, I do not agree with that. I really would have gone with Garrett there in those playoffs. Even though Davidson is technically the better ability player, Garrett had a much better run toward the end of the regular season and was basically our goaltender for the entire second half. So I don't know why you would just put Davidson in there all of a sudden. I guess it was just going based off his star ability, but I was hoping the computer would have gone Garrett there. Because now you can look at this and say, what if we had Garrett in there? We may have actually won the series if we had Garrett in there. I mean, compared to the league average of goalie stats, Davidson didn't do bad. He had the league average, because the league average this year was somewhere around 887 during the regular season. So I can't entirely blame Davidson for this, but what if we had Garrett, you know? And now it's something we're not going to know. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Definitely unfortunate. I don't think I'm going to renew Phil White. He was a very hit or miss coach, I think. I guess just the fact that he's very offensive and very non-physical makes him sort of, like I said earlier, a double-edged sword sort of coach. In that he'll make your team really good offensively, but then you also really suffer defensively. And I don't think we need to improve offensively right now. We really need to focus on defensive improvement and goaltending, and just defensive in general is what we really need to focus on here, because we have some really good offensive players. I mean, the fact that we had an offensive coach definitely helped guys like Paul Coffey come into his zone with 80 points in 80 games this year. Then Rogers, Staunton, Howe, he definitely helped those 4. But the rest of the team suffers from having a coach like that. So as good as Phil White was for our top players, I don't think he's a good fit for the rest of the roster, basically is what I'm getting at here. So if there are any suitable free agent head coaches, I think he's got to be replaced. Like the only situation where I can see myself keeping Phil White on board is if there's legitimately just no one in the staff free agency who really stands out as a coach. Like I'm almost tempted to just go in there as the coach myself, but I know that wouldn't turn out well with my ratings. And so I think with that being done, we will advance to the offseason of year number 3. And the Stanley Cup champions are the New York Islanders for the first time in their history. They beat out the Montreal Canadiens in 7 games. So Montreal yet again makes the finals, but they did not win this time. And we have the NHL awards of year number 3. So for the Ted Lindsay, Art Ross, and Maurice Richard, we have none other than Wayne Gretzky. The Lady Byng Trophy goes to Rick Middleton. The Bill Masterton goes to Dick Redmond. The Mark Messier Leadership Award goes to Bobby Clark. And the Jennings Trophy goes to Andy Moog. For the Hart between Bossy, Gretzky, and Potvin, it is Wayne Gretzky with 165 points. We're going to have to check out the league stats once again at the end of this, because it seems Wayne Gretzky once again puts up a phenomenal performance. Not that anyone expected anything less. Let's see, what's he done in his career so far? 431 points in 232 games. Jeez. And the Conn Smythe goes to Mike Bossy of the Islanders, 35 points in 22 games played. And the Calder between Peter Stastny, Jim Fox, and Anton Stastny. So the Stastny brothers going up against each other for the Calder. 2 out of the 3 are our own players. Who is it going to be? It'll be Peter Stastny. 71 points in 74 games played. Very nice. For the Norris between Ruotsalainen, Potvin, and Wilson, you have Reiho Ruotsalainen of Philly. 106 points in 80 games played. For the Frank J. Selke between Hunter, McTavish, and Gainey, you have Bob Gainey. For the Vezina between Esposito, Hanlon, and Liat, you have Mike Liat of St. Louis, a 900 save percentage. So yeah, it shows you how high scoring this era was for the guy winning the Vezina to be at a 900 save percentage. And GM of the Year between Bill Torrey, Irving Grundman, and Keith Allen is Irving Grundman of Montreal, 57 wins. Yeah, they're a good team. Jack Adams between Bernie Jeffrey Allen, Pat Quinn, and Al Arbor. Bernie Jeffrey Allen of Montreal. All right, let's see here. League stats. So Wayne Gretzky with 74 goals, 91 assists, 165 points. The guy is incredible. Bobby Clark with a 59.4 face-off percentage. Burroughs with 292 shots blocked. Wins Andy Moog had the most with 49. He also had the best goals against average with 2.78. Of course, Leah had the highest save percentage with a 900. Larocque with 7 shutouts. Man, look at all these 100-point players. Wow, you wouldn't see anything like this in this day and age. In modern day and age, I should say. And the highest shooting percentage goes to Lube of Philly with a 100 shooting percentage. What a legend. And we are now on June 23rd, meaning we can now sign some of our prospects. No deadlines have to be met here, as all of them are 1983 or after, so no one we have to worry about signing right away. I think I'll sign Eddie Beers. He could be a potential depth player to call up in case an injury happens. He's only a 1-star ability, but he's got some solid ratings on him nonetheless, so I think I'll give him a chance. Hopefully Vernon can improve this upcoming season, because this season was not good for him. An 818 save percentage in the WHL. He's still only a half-star ability. I'm not saying this upcoming year is a make or break year for him, but he definitely needs to show some improvement. And I don't think anybody else is going to be signed here. No one else really popping out at me. As for upcoming UFAs, I might sign Steve Alley because he had that 67 offensive grade, but I think that's about it. Yeah, and he's cheap too. We can do this. Marty Howe I'll keep on board as depth, but I wouldn't foresee him being on the NHL roster. Rick Lay, I'm going to get dropped to free agency. He's getting up there in age, 33 already, and I would like one of our younger defensemen to take his place. Neufeld, I will sign. Everybody else, I think I'm going to release. And here is our season score for year number 3. We have 2 positive categories in that we had a winning season and we reached the playoffs. No negative categories, of course, which means our total season score is 20, bringing our total career score to 42. We have 4 available points to spend. I would like to just focus on GM ratings, 2 into negotiating, and then 1 into discipline, 1 into player management. And we do have a pretty significant change here in the league. The Colorado Rockies have relocated to New Jersey and changed their name to the New Jersey Devils. So there you go. It's still the same amount of teams, but the New Jersey Devils have taken the place of the Colorado Rockies. And interesting fun fact here, they have a Jack Hughes on their team. Obviously not modern Jack Hughes, but nonetheless, a Jack Hughes is now playing for the New Jersey Devils. I looked this up during Jack Hughes' draft year, and it's just funny to see him in the game now, except a defenseman Jack Hughes and not center Jack Hughes. Yep, they still have Chelios there as well. They have Gilmore too, 19-year-old Doug Gilmore. I mean, they're on a good track here. Is there any coach here that has a physical preference? Every coach I've clicked on so far has non-physical preference. Or very non-physical. See, this is what I mean when I say we need coaches that can develop the same way players can, because like I'm not finding any coach that fits what I'm looking for. Like even the coaches with defensive preferences are still very non-physical. Is that just every coach? Okay, here's someone who's balanced, but his ratings are absolute garbage. Yeah, I think like every NHL level coach is for some reason non-physical or very non-physical. And the ones that are balanced with the physical preference aren't exactly NHL level. Like, I would rather just coach myself at that point. This is literally the only head coach that I could find that would even be serviceable with a standard offensive preference and a balanced physical preference. I don't really like his coaching ratings. They're better than mine, for sure. They're not what I'd like them to be. But at this point, we just need to try something that's not very non-physical and very offensively based. And he is the only balanced coach that I could find that would even be somewhat serviceable at the NHL level. So I think we'll try out Jack Ferreira here. So we have hired him on for 2 seasons. Hopefully, he can prove that was the right decision. And I think with that, we'll end things off here. And in the next one, we will get to the draft of year number 3.